It was for sure Obama's third term. I don't think that's even a question. But also, he didn't have much faith in Kamala Harris. Before she ascended to the top role, he was vetting people like Mark Kelly and Andy Beshear.
So who was running it? Who are the names? A lot of people say it was Obama's third term. There's rumors of, and these are friends of mine that are moderate Democrats say that they thought it was Elizabeth Warren running it. They thought it was Bernie Sanders running it. But I think the general consensus, I think if you asked, the majority of the population, they think it was Obama's third term.
It was for sure Obama's third term. I don't think that's even a question. I don't think anyone... It definitely was. And that's why you saw Obama fighting for his dear life. Why was he fighting so hard in the fall? Because he was fighting for his fourth term. He was fighting for his own legacy. The relationship between Obama and Biden is most reminiscent of that between LBJ and JFK. JFK had little respect for Lyndon B. Johnson, but he picked him anyway because he wanted to win the South. He wanted to win Texas. But he had very little respect for LBJ's intellect. JFK was surrounded by his Harvard brain trust, and he had immense disdain for LBJ's Texas Hill Country vibe. And that was the same attitude that Obama had towards Biden. Obama thought that Biden would eventually fuck everything up. And that's eventually actually what happened. Mm-hmm. So, but also he didn't have much faith in Kamala Harris. Before she ascended to the top role, he was vetting people like Mark Kelly and Andy Beshear. Most party chieftains didn't have Kamala Harris as their number one choice. But in the party of DEI, you can't skip a black woman. The optics would have been terrible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So who was running it? Who are the names?
Steve Ricchetti, his senior advisor, Anita Dunn, Mike Donilon, Ron Klain, Jeff Zients, Bob Bauer, his personal lawyer, who's actually his personal lawyer, who actually leased a book basically grifting off his relationship with the Bidens. I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying all this. Please give me credit but these are the people who ran our country for the last 4 years.
So let's go through each name for all of the audience. Not everybody is as tuned in with who's who in the political world.
As a general overview, these are the people who made a living off of their connection with Biden. It's like they were leeching off the Biden name for decades, and all of them realized that they would never work for another president, so they had to ride the gravy train all the way through,
Mm-hmm.
Like ride it to the very end. And that's why all of them refused to concede the truth, which is that Biden is unfit, and he would have been comatose by the time he was 86.
Who's the first name you mentioned?
Steve Ricchetti, the same guy who put his own kid at the Treasury.
Who is he? What's his position?
His most senior White House senior advisor. Like all of them are White House counselor or White House senior advisor. And they are the gatekeepers of the president.
Who's the next name?
Mike Donilon, the same guy who's feeding, I'm just going to say it like it is, feeding Biden fake numbers telling him that he would win. He would beat Trump. Seriously, are you kidding me? And the truth of the matter is, by the time Biden was going to drop out, he was on track to lose the Electoral College by 400 votes. Trump was on track to get 400 Electoral College votes. Not a typo. I'm not misspeaking. 400 electoral votes by the time he dropped out. And Mike Donilon, his pollster, whom they go back decades. By the way, the major qualification for all these folks is that they know Biden really well. These aren't like PhDs or like rocket scientists or anything like that. It's just because of loyalty. And they've stayed with him for a number of years. So Mike Donilon, Nancy Pelosi actually called him out. And she said, show me the numbers, Mike. Like, show me where you're getting these numbers that show that Biden can still beat Trump. And Donilon wasn't able to deliver. No such numbers exist.
Who's the next name?
Who did I say? Anita Dunn. I actually have a soft spot for Anita Dunn because she got iced out of the Biden circle in July August of this past year because she dared to say, maybe it's a good idea for the president to shy away from his convicted felon of a son because the optics aren't great.
Why do you have a soft spot for somebody who's running the country in the shadows to the ground?
Because she dared to speak up. She's the only one who did. She's the only one who dared to utter criticism.
But we went 4 years.
I know, but she's the only one who did anything a little bit different, you know? And she got exiled. She got kicked out of the White House.
When?
So she's July. So she got booted out. And then not only her husband got booted out. Her husband, Bob Bauer, was Biden's personal attorney. So after Anita... Oh, so I should also mention that after the debate, Hunter basically commandeered the White House. He sat in on all the White House top-level meetings. You had a former cocaine addict sitting in on the most sensitive meetings of the most consequential and important government in world history. Does that sit right with you?
No.
Without security clearance, mind you. No security clearance. That's who was basically running the show. So Hunter basically battened down the hatches after the debate to make sure that his father would only receive intel that he pre-approved. And so Anita Dunn got exiled around this time, along with her husband. Her husband was playing Trump in the debate prep. Ron Klain was disgraced after the debate blew up. And then Jeff Zients, the person who's worth like hundreds of millions of dollars, the chief of staff. I should mention that the weekend that Biden made the decision to drop out, he only told 2 people in that circle, and that's that's Steve Ricchetti and Mike. He didn't tell Anita because I was on a call with Anita that morning and she had no idea it was going to happen. It completely caught her off guard. So by that time, they were already easing her out of the circle.
Is there any, did we cover all the names?
Did we? Jill Biden?
Jill Biden.
She was like president. She was president. I was with Joe and Jill the night of the debate. I was at their VIP debate watch party. I slept all the way to Atlanta, Georgia for that, to show my support. Oh my gosh, Sean, you wouldn't believe it. So that night, I have the pictures too. I was with Joe. And so Jill takes Joe by the hand. The names are so similar. I'm sorry. Jill takes Joe by the hand on stage and she's like, Joe, you knew all the facts. You answered all the questions. And you know that hand gesture that she does. And I'm thinking, you're treating him like a first grader. You know, like just because he, you know, like you shouldn't applaud him for doing the basics. And you could just tell that she was fighting for dear life to hold on to the vestige of power. And just a few days later, she was on the cover of Vogue. So the whole thing was a Jill Biden show. She was not as authentic as Joe, I want to say. I think as Joe got older, maybe you think I'm naive in saying this, but I'm not even sure if he remembers all of the corruption that he engaged in.
It doesn't surprise me.
Like, I don't think he had a full understanding what was going on.
I don't think anybody would argue that.
No matter where you're watching Sean Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and